I work with a volunteer search and rescue team in northern Montana. Most days, it's the usual. Sprained ankles, lost hikers, sometimes a bear scare. But last week, we found something else. A man, barefoot, half frozen, covered in blood, stumbling down a trail no one's used in decades. At first, we thought he was a lost hunter, but he wasn't. We brought him back to base camp, wrapped him in blankets, tried to feed him. He wouldn't eat, wouldn't drink, wouldn't give a name. He just kept whispering over and over, "It let me go. It let me go." Like a prayer or a warning. When we pressed him, he screamed. Said if he ate, it would know. Later, while the others were out, I stayed with him alone, and that's when he started talking. Said he'd been hunting elk with 2 friends, miles into the backcountry. No trails, no maps. One night, something came to their camp. Not a bear, not a wolf. Something else. Tall, thin, bone pulled tight over skin, teeth like needles. He didn't give it a name, but I did. "A Wendigo?" I asked. He flinched, then he whispered, "Not a Wendigo, the Wendigo." He said it didn't kill them at once. It took them one by one, always at night, always when they were alone. First was Tom. All they found was his tongue. Then it came for Caleb. He said he heard Caleb laughing, but it wasn't his laugh. By the 3rd night, he was alone. He ran, got lost, starved. He said it whispered to him, not with words, but with thoughts. It made promises. He said it watched him while he slept, left pieces of his friends in the snow like breadcrumbs, and then it let him go. At dawn, it stood over him, its mouth full of Caleb's face, and whispered directly into his mind, "You're already mine." He looked at me, eyes wide and dry, like he'd forgotten how to blink. "You don't get it," he said. "It's not out there anymore." He tapped his chest. "It's in here." I didn't sleep that night. He just sat there in the infirmary cot, staring at the wall, not moving, not blinking. Like rest wasn't meant for what was left of him. By morning, he was gone. No broken zippers, no footprints, just wetness on the cot. Not blood, not sweat. Just cold wet, like something melted into the fabric overnight. We tracked what little we could, faint boot prints veering off the trails and into the deep timber. And then nothing. Snow buried the rest. That night, I stood watch at the south edge of camp. Just me, the trees, the quiet. Too quiet. Something was out there. I could feel it. Watching. Past midnight, I heard footsteps behind the mess tent. I checked it out. Found 2 things. 1. A chunk of raw venison had been torn from the cooler. Not sliced, not bitten. Scraped, like something used nails. Something rough. 2. Footprints in the snow. Barefoot. They led 20 yards into the woods. And just stopped. Like the person either flew away or vanished. We set up cameras, doubled shifts. 2 nights later, one of our own disappeared. We found what was left of him. Hanging in a tree, like someone drying laundry. His ribcage was hollow. His eyes, gone. His tongue, untouched. The cameras caught nothing but static between 1:13 and 1:21 a.m., and in one frozen frame, just a flicker. Something tall stood just beyond the infrared range, and in front of it, the survivor, smiling. Mouth stretched impossibly wide, shoulders hunched, like something had grown inside him that didn't quite fit. We shut the camp down the next morning. I stayed back to pack the last of the gear, alone. I don't know why I opened the meat locker before I left. Curiosity? Instinct. He was inside, not hiding, just crouched, naked, hands raw, fingertips split open like claws were trying to break through. His mouth was chewing, not food, just moving. He looked up at me. for just a second. And I swear, he said something, but I didn't hear it in my ears. I felt it, in my bones. You don't have to run anymore. Then he vanished. No sound, no movement, gone. And ever since, every night, something comes to my window. It doesn't knock, it just breathes. And sometimes, I catch myself breathing with it. My dad was what people call a macho man. All he ever wanted were sons. He lived and breathed for another Keller boy. So when my older brother Anthony was born, he was overjoyed. 3 years later, he begged my mom to try for another. And when she found out she was pregnant with twins, he was ecstatic. 3 sons, just like he dreamed. But when the second baby came out, and he saw that I was a girl, his joy vanished. I was the disappointment. And he made sure I knew it. While he named my brothers Anthony and David, names that mean priceless and beloved, he named me Lilith, a name that literally means night monster. My mom and brothers tried to soften it by calling me Lily, but my dad insisted everyone call me Lilith, so you can feel the disappointment I felt the day you were born, he'd say. It wasn't surprising when he and my mom didn't last. What was surprising and devastating was that he got full custody of all 3 of us. I was 2, David was 2, Anthony was 5, and from that point on, things only got worse. If he took my brothers out to eat or to the movies, I stayed home. He spent all his time playing sports with them, while I wasn't even allowed to join, despite being the only one actually interested. Then, when I was 4, my dad got cancer. It was supposed to be terminal, but that's where everything changed. He made a deal with Satan. 15 more years of life in exchange for one of his children's souls. And, of course, he chose me. So now, no matter how little I sin, no matter how hard I pray, when I die, I'm going to hell. The first time something happened was a month after that deal. I was lying in bed, in my tiny, cramped room, on a mattress I'd outgrown years ago, while my dad and brothers were downstairs watching a movie. That's when I saw it. Something in my closet. Pale skin, sunken, hollow eyes, a gaping mouth, long, bony fingers curled around the edge of the door. A demon. I screamed for my dad. He stormed up the stairs, furious. He beat me for interrupting his movie night with his kids, called me a little girl for crying, and locked me in my room. The demon just stood there, in the closet, watching me, unmoving. That became normal. Sometimes it was the pale figure in my closet. Sometimes a dark shadow hovered over my bed, and on the worst nights, a horned thing with glowing red eyes would taunt me through my window. But eventually I stopped being scared. I got used to them. One night, when I was 9, the gaunt creature returned. It watched me while I read. Then it growled. I shushed it. That's when something changed. It stepped out of the closet. Fully. It was taller than the ceiling, bending its neck at an unnatural angle to fit in the room. We locked eyes for a moment. It should have been terrifying, but it wasn't. It was awkward, honestly. So I went back to my book. When my dad barged in to scream at me again, the demon didn't move. He just watched. After the yelling and the slap, I cried myself to sleep. The demon sat beside my bed. Neither of us looked at each other. But I wasn't alone. From that day on, he was always there. When my dad was cruel. When school was hard. When boys broke my heart. He never spoke. Barely even looked at me. But he stayed. So I gave him a name. Papa. I remember one night I was 14. Jacob, the boy I liked, didn't ask me to the Valentine's dance. And my dad had gotten into one of his moods. He threw a chair at me. I ran to my room. And there was Papa, crouched by the closet. I broke down. "Papa!" I cried, running to him. He stepped back at first. But then, for the first time, he looked me in the eyes, and he hugged me. His arms were ice cold, his touch unnatural. But in that moment, I felt warmth. I felt love. Because for once, I had a dad who cared. But then, I made a mistake. I was reading To Kill a Mockingbird aloud to Papa. He looked curious, and I thought he might enjoy it. David opened the door. "Lilith, who the hell are you? What the fuck is that?" Everything happened fast. Anthony came in. My dad rushed up the stairs. Papa tried to hide, but it was too late. He stood to his full height. David cried. Anthony froze. My dad ran to get a vial of holy water he'd kept hidden since the deal. I tried to escape with Papa, but he stopped me. He shook his head. It was too late. I hugged him, and when the holy water touched him, he screamed. A scream that shook the house. I could have cracked the sky. And then, he was gone. My dad brushed off his hands. "There," he said. "It can't hurt us anymore, sons." I collapsed over Papa's lifeless body, sobbing. And that's when something appeared behind us, a towering figure, larger than Papa, horned, goat-headed, holding a massive staff. Satan. My dad turned and stammered, "Your Majesty, We had a deal, Stanley," the demon growled. "I gave you 15 more years of life on 2 conditions. That I get your daughter's soul upon death, and that you never harm another person again." "I haven't," my dad lied. Satan chuckled. "First you break a promise. Then you lie to me? You've abused your daughter for years. And now you've killed one of my finest minions. The deal is broken." My dad dropped to his knees. "No, please, I'll do anything." Satan looked at me. "There's one way," he said. "If Lilith forgives you, you will be spared." My dad turned, forcing a smile. "Hey, Lily, look at me. I'm your dad. I raised you. Don't you love me? I'm your father, for God's sake." I looked at him, then at Papa's body. And I said, "My dad is dead, bitch. You killed him. I don't forgive you." And with that, Satan dragged my father down to the earth. His screams echoed long after he disappeared. My brothers wept for the man who raised them. But I knelt beside Papa's body, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "Goodbye, Papa. Thank you."